Hey everyone, this is Jason Renault, and I thought I'd start doing these podcasts. So I realized that I'm usually stuck in traffic for about half an hour to 45 minutes after class, and it's sort of wasted time where I can be a little bit more productive. So I thought I'd share some of my experience, knowledge, some of my thoughts. So I thought the best way to start this would be to start with the portfolio question. It's definitely one of those things that people ask all the time. And a lot of my friends and colleagues right now are going through the third year of the animation program, and they're wondering how they can improve and get a job in the industry with the portfolios that they're working on. So I've given it a lot of thought and talked with a lot of people as well on this. And I thought I'd share my understanding of what you can do in your portfolio and that can help you land your dream job. So I'll break it down in two parts. The first part is my portfolio 1, my portfolio 2, and then we'll end with a little conclusion here. So let's start. So my portfolio 1 was no good, and for anybody who's seen it before will attest that this is a fact. And I think the number one reason why it wasn't any good is that there was some pre-college art that landed in my portfolio. So I essentially felt that some of the art that I had created before college was on par with 2 years of college experience. I was, I guess, a typical teenager where I just blamed school and didn't put that ownership on my own shoulders. And again, for anybody who knows me, knows that I feel like that was the 10-year penalty that I had to pay after school by working in other jobs like healthcare and the buses before finally being allowed back in. But it took me 10 years to learn that lesson, that you got to take responsibilities for your actions. And then it didn't show any specific skills. And again, I did pretty much the opposite of what my teacher said, where they said you need to concentrate on specific things. So if you want to be a modeler, if you want to be a concept artist, a storyboard artist, you concentrate on that and build a portfolio that really shows those skill sets. I didn't do that. I did everything from animation to shots to modeling to you name it. I just did everything. And when I went to meet the two people that had job openings, both of them asked me, well, what are you applying for? So it was not the right thing to do, right? So anyway, so I spent 10 years out of the industry and then finally had an opportunity to work on my portfolio again. This came from calling up one of my college buddies who had succeeded, who did not use this excuse that the college was no good and the coordinator didn't like 3D and blah, blah, blah. He actually worked on his portfolio and actually had a really good portfolio. And when we graduated, he got in the industry. And to be honest, the first 5 years, maybe 8 years, when I'd go online and I'd see his name and I'd see, oh, I'm a 3D artist here now, and I'm a supervisor there now. I almost hated the guy, not because I didn't like him, but it was putting a spotlight on my own failures, and it just made me feel bad about it. But anyways, at that point in my life, I was 30 years old, and I thought, you know what, I'm sick of being in healthcare, and I want to get back into this industry that just looked so awesome. So I sent him an email after finding out that he was now head of a studio, head of 3D at a local studio. So I sent him an email, said, hey dude, I got to buy you lunch. I want to learn about the industry, see what I can do. I just want to get in. So any tips or tricks that you can give me, I'll appreciate it. So he accepted my offer. We went out, and the lunch went better than expected. He actually told me there were actually opportunities coming down the line, and that if I worked on my portfolio, that I could potentially get a job. So that's all I did. I was so excited. That was a dream come true. So, you know, from being a kid to a teenager to going to school and then working outside of the industry, It had always been my dream. If I could be a professional artist, then I'd reach my dreams. So that's all I did. I was spending about 80 hours a week just non-stop working on my portfolio. It had been so long that I was outside of the industry that I had to relearn mostly everything about 3D. I forgot how to navigate the scene. So started off by asking myself, all right, this time I don't want to repeat those same mistakes. So I want to make sure that my portfolio made sense, that it was focused, and that would land me the job. So I did a couple of things different this time. And here are the 4 things I did different. 1, I was focused. All right. I wanted to be a character artist. I wanted to show strong character modeling skills. So I broke it down. All right, I can create my own character. I can do this. I can do that. But then realized, okay, no, wait. If I'm creating my own character, I'm not being a character modeler. I'm being a concept artist. And that's not what I'm applying for. I'm applying for a character modeling job. So I got to concentrate on character modeling, which means I got to find character art online and use that. So I focused. So this is key number 1. Focus your portfolio. All right? You got to focus on the jobs that exist, on the skills that you're going to be hired for. All right? If you try to go too broad, it's going to be too hard for the hiring company to find a position for you, know exactly where you should go. So that's skill number 1, focus. 2, ask for reviews. The thing that impressed my buddy the most was that I would never give up. I'd keep sending him for revisions. I'd apply the revisions. I'd learn. I'd do research. I'd apply it. And I would never repeat the mistake. And then I'd ask for more revisions. And I would just never stop. And that's what he told me too. When the position came and it was open, he said, Jason, we gotta have you. Like, your dedication is just insane. I've never seen anybody this dedicated. All right. So showing that you're dedicated this way will land you a job. And I can say for a fact, now that I'm hiring people, that's the number 1 thing that I look for, is that dedication, that passion, that energy, that for learning, right? That energy for learning, that hunger for just wanting to improve yourself and understand and become better, and just let go of that ego and just know that, look, I'm here to learn. So yeah, ask reviews is definitely number 2 here. Number 3, all right, before moving on, right? So you can have your plan, you can have your ideas, you can say, all right, I'm going to do these 3 male characters and these 2 female characters, or whatever that you're working on. And you can have that plan, and that's fantastic. But never, ever go in and say, oh, shit, I got to stop piece number 1, because if I don't stop piece number 1, I'll never be able to finish piece 2, 3, and 4. All right? So always make sure you bring your piece number 1 to an A+ level. Because here's what happens. When I see a portfolio and I see one piece that's an A+ level and the rest are Bs, I'm thinking that artist is a B level artist. And that's not what you want. All right? That A+ piece for me is either this is his latest thing, that's how good he is now, and the rest were older, or the A piece was just a fluke. And I don't know that until I get to work with you and meet you. And most of the time, if I don't know you, I'm not going to take a chance on you and think, oh yeah, it's probably where he's at now, and all the Bs were just because he didn't have time or before. No, I don't know yet. So most people won't take that chance. So make sure that everything you do gets to the A+ level before moving on. Now, the 4th thing that I did that's really important, right? Make sure that every piece you make in your portfolio has a learning outcome. And not just any learning outcome, all right? So again, I'm going to take the example of becoming a character artist. So if you want to become a character modeler, all right, don't go in and go, well, I really want to learn rigs. And I really want to do fur and hair. And I really want to do lighting. It doesn't make any sense. You'll never be asked to do that in the industry if we hire you as a character modeler. All right? So make sure your learning outcomes are directly related to the real world skills that are required for that position that you're applying for. All right? So that's rule number 4. Make sure that your learning outcomes for every piece you make are directly related with the real world skills you'll need for the position you're applying for. All right? So, number 1, be focused. Number 2, ask for revisions. Number 3, make sure you get it to an A+ level before moving on. And number 4, make sure you have learning outcomes for every piece that are directly related with real world skills. All right. So, just to wrap everything up here, all right? We've talked about this a lot, but you want to make sure that your portfolio is for a real world job. We see this too often, and I don't think it's spoken enough clearly in class and in schools that you can't just have a fun portfolio for anything, all right? And you got to be careful when I say this. You've got to show passion in what you do. Do what you love, but you can't love 20 things, all right? So love one thing a lot. Show you're an expert at that, and make sure that your portfolio shows that, look, I'm an expert at a XYZ, just X, and just concentrate on that to show you're the best possible X. Because when we're looking to hire people, and at this point now in my career, I've hired over a dozen people in this industry. I've hired people in other industries, but in this industry, I've hired about a dozen people. And I can tell you, I've spoken to a lot of people too that hired for Mercury Filmery, for Jamfil, Ubisoft, Square Enix, and a bunch of other indies. And we're always looking for the same thing. We're looking for people that can show us they can do the job, the task at hand for the project we need them to work on. All right? I can't hire somebody for a project I don't have. I can't hire somebody that has crazy skills but that don't apply to a project we have. So when I have a project, I'm going to go get the best person for that specific task. And it happened before where we've been wanting to hire an artist, but we didn't have the project for that artist yet. So we went with other artists before hiring that person. So, and the thing is that you'll never know what it is until it arrives. So again, it's impossible for your teachers to tell you, no, right now they're looking for rigging artists, or they're looking for VFX artists, or they're looking for traditional 2D artists. No, things are constantly changing. So instead of living your life based on what other people want, base your life and your career on what you love to do, all right? But just make sure that it's something that's wanted in the industry if you want to get your job, the job that you want, all right? So the portfolio for a job. And then the 3 things that I look for in a portfolio, so I might as well end with that, is 1, it's passion, it's energy. I want to see how passionate you are. So if I see the only things in your portfolio are school-related assignments, it's not going to show me that passion, that drive. If I see in your portfolio that you have 15 characters or whatever it is, like drawings of the anatomy that you broke it down, and you have one really great sculpt, it's showing me you're passionate about characters, how they're built, how the anatomy is. And I don't need 7 sculpts, right? Just one great sculpt and a bunch of drawings will show me you studied this, you love this, all right? So again, that passion for that one thing for us is super important. Number 2 is the T-shaped people. Valve clearly said this, and I love that about them. They're looking for T-shaped people, and T-shaped people are people that focus on one thing but understand and know about a lot of different things. That doesn't mean you're an expert in it. It just means that you know about it, all right? And it's going to be at different levels, all right? So if we're going to go on a scale of 1 to 10, you want to have one skill that's a 9 or above, all right? And then you can have connect skills that are a 3 and below, all right? Because don't forget, when anybody hires you, it's to put you in the machine, all right? You're going to be the cog in the machine. And the smaller the studio, the more importance that cog is going to have. You're going to be asked to do a bunch of different things and wear a bunch of different hats. But the bigger the studio, the smaller that gear is, and the more precise it has to be at what it does. All right? But nonetheless, you're going to be part of a machine. And if you understand the role before you and the role after